girls. I am, as you can see, super cozy today. All dressed for the gym, but I have been cold all day. I know it's April, but the weather says something entirely different. It's like rainy and windy and icky. So I've got a big old sweatshirt on. I've got a big old blanket. And look what I found in my office area. Pierce, thanks for leaving me your fun. Anyway, so I thought it was time to revisit Bible Stories for Children. And the reason that is because Moses keeps coming up. And I know Pierce and I started watching the Commandments and Moses, and this seemed like a whole new story to her. And so I figured I would tell you from the beginning, because Moses is like major character in the Bible. And I love that this book slows it down so that it's easy for everyone, even me, to understand it. And it's got cool pictures, and I do cool voices, so what's not to like? Anyway, okay, so this part is called The Burning Bush, and here's the picture. You see what I see? I see a pyramid. I see some Egyptians. That's the guy with the whip. Pierce, remember you and I talked about the whips, right? And it looks like the Hebrews, these guys right here, are doing a lot of work, right? Not easy work either, huh? Let's hear more about that. Okay, so it starts off. Years went by. Joseph, who was in the previous story, and all of his brothers died, but their children had many children. And the Israelites, also the Hebrews, as the children of Jacob were called, grew strong in number and in power. It means there was a lot of them, right? So there were a lot of people in this tribe. After many more years passed, a new Pharaoh came to rule over Egypt. So in Egypt, it's like the Pharaoh is equivalent of a king, right? They just call it something different in their language. So think king, ruler, right, of all of Egypt. He knew nothing about Joseph. This Pharaoh worried that there were too many Israelites in Egypt. They had multiplied too much. The Israelites have grown too strong and too many for us, he said. If there were a war, they might join our enemies and fight against us and become the rulers of our country. So right now, the Israelites, they're the ones doing the manual labor, right? So in that time, they were like slaves. So they didn't have any rights or anything like that. So the new Pharaoh made the Israelites into slaves and put strict taskmasters over them. These are like bosses. The Egyptian taskmasters ordered the Israelites to make bricks and work in the field to build great cities for the Pharaoh. But no matter how cruel the Egyptians were or how hard they made the Israelites work, the Israelites continued to grow in number. Pharaoh then decided to kill all the boys that were born to the Israelites. I command you, he told the Egyptians, to throw every baby boy born to an Israelite into the Nile River. Now, it happened that an Israelite woman had a baby boy. Because she did not want him to be killed, she decided to hide him. But after 3 months, he began to move around and make too much noise. So his mother made a large basket out of brushes, or like weeds, grasses, that kind of thing, and sealed it carefully. Gently, she laid the baby in it and put the basket at the edge of the Nile, and told her daughter Miriam to watch from a distance to see what happened to the baby. What do you think is going to happen? You think the baby's going to be okay? That's probably a good guess. That day, Pharaoh's daughter came to the river to bathe. As the princess washed in the river, she saw the basket in the bushes around the river's edge. See that? So that is the Pharaoh's daughter. So she is royalty, right? She's a princess. And there is Moses in the basket. Right? Okay. When the princess looked into the basket, the startled baby began to cry. The princess felt sorry for him. "This must be an Israelite child," she said. To cheer the baby up, the princess began to play with him. When Miriam saw this, she went to the princess and asked, "Would you like me to find an Israelite woman to take care of the baby?" "Yes," answered the princess. So Miriam hurried back to her mother to tell her what happened and to bring her the princess. "Here is a woman who will take care of the baby away, or take the baby away and care for him." Miriam told Pharaoh's daughter. Take good care of him," the princess said. When the baby grew up and could walk and talk, his mother brought him back to the princess, who treated him like a son and called him Moses, because that name means he was drawn out of the water. Just how she found him, right? She took him out of the water. Makes sense. Although Moses was brought up as an Egyptian in an Egyptian palace, he always knew that he was an Israelite. Have you guys ever kind of felt like that? Like, even though something is going on around your world and you're one way, you maybe feel like something's a little bit different about you. Maybe not that everybody sees on the outside. I don't know, I have. One day when he was a young man, Moses went out to see how the Egyptians treated his people. Because remember, now he's royalty. He was adopted, right? The first thing he saw was an Egyptian beating an Israelite worker. Sure that no one was watching, Moses killed the Egyptian and buried his body in the sand. I did not see that coming, right? Twist, plot twist. The next day when Moses went out walking, he saw one Israelite attack another. Quickly he pulled the two men apart. "Why did you hit him?" he asked the first man. "Who gave you the right to tell us what to do?" the first man answered angrily. "You are going to kill me the way you killed that Egyptian." Uh-oh. Someone knows what he did. Then Moses knew that someone had seen him, and he was afraid. If this man knows, he thought, Pharaoh must know. So Moses decided to leave Egypt and flee to the land of Midian. There he lived safely and peacefully as a shepherd for many years. One day, while he was tending his sheep, Moses came to a mountain called Horeb, a very holy place. As Moses stood watching his flock, a bush suddenly burst into flames. The fire burned and burned, but the leaves stayed green. "I must find out why this bush does not burn up." Wait, so there's a bush totally engulfed in flames, but it doesn't burn up. Because if I went outside and lit a bush on fire, it would maybe burn for 5 minutes, maybe, right? But this one never burned up. It just kept going. Kind of crazy, right? When Moses came toward the bush, he heard a voice call from the midst, "Moses, Moses!" And Moses said, "Here I am." "Do not come any closer, and take off your shoes, for you are standing on holy ground," the voice said. "I am the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob." Moses covered his eyes, for he was afraid to look at God. Then the Lord said, I have seen the suffering of my people in Egypt. I have heard their cries, and I know their pain. I wish to set my people free, to lead them out of Egypt, to a good land of milk and honey, the land of Canaan. Come, I am sending you to Pharaoh, so you can lead my people out of Egypt. Oh, burning bush, sorry. Crazy, right? It's a good picture. So it's showing that it's on fire, but it's still green. Yeah, that can't happen. Egyptians treated it. Okay. Who am I, O Lord, that I should lead the children of Israel out of Egypt? Moses asked. I have chosen you, and I shall be with you, God answered. But what if the children of Israel do not believe me when I tell them that God has sent me? Said Moses. What do I do if they do not listen? What are you holding in your hand? God asked. A staff, Moses answered. Throw it down, God commanded. And as Moses threw it down, the rod became a hissing snake. Moses jumped away. Stretch out your hand and take the snake by its tail, God ordered. As Moses grasped its tail, it became a staff again. If the Israelites do not believe you, God said, show them this sign. If they still do not believe you, take a jug of water from the Nile, or that's the river, and empty it on the ground. The water will change to blood on the land, and they will surely believe you. O Lord, said Moses, I do not speak well. Sometimes I stutter and my speech is slow. Then God got angry at Moses. Your brother Aaron speaks well. I will tell you what to say, and you will tell Aaron what to say. He will speak for you in front of the people. So Moses took up the staff that was his sign and left Midian to lead the children of Israel out of Egypt. Okay, this is just the beginning of the story. So, you needed the setting or whatever of Moses to understand who he is. But this is where the story starts to get good. So he goes back to Egypt. He goes and meets with the Pharaoh. Okay, kind of spoiler alert. The Pharaoh doesn't believe him. So even after seeing the snake, even after God turns the entire Nile River to blood, he sends locusts and flies and frogs, and he blacks out the sun. So it's about ready to get crazy town. And the things that God does to free his people is crazy. The lengths that he will go. Anyway, stay tuned because next is the escape from Egypt. So we start learning about all the plagues. Believe me, I didn't tell you all of them. But anyway, as always, love you.